Royalty in disguise. Put your fist up in the skies. Royalty in disguise. I just got to be free. I'm just playing, but I'm serious, but you know, I'm vibing. How y'all doing? It's Camps in the Oracle. I am the founder of New Verse Live, and I know I'm unpredictable. I know my content don't roll out consistently because I'm really applying these things that I share with you. And I'm not afraid of chaos. I'm not afraid of the shadows. I'm not afraid to deal with what I need to deal with, face what I need to face, and it's very time consuming. Let me keep it real. If you are really meditating, like you're supposed to be meditating to help yourself heal, it's a lot of things that you may not have time for and time to do. So you learn how to make time, you learn how to create routines, and you learn how to make it fit in. So if you are new, welcome, welcome, welcome. I will be your conductor for tonight as we are riding the locomotive of love on our way to Self-Worthville, baby. Yes, yes, yes. That's where we headed to. We had a new moon. The new moon kind of activated that Gemini energy. So we're experiencing our polarity. We're experiencing the light and the darkness. We see it very clearly inside of ourselves and externally. So I want to help you by sharing with you some cards that came up for this energy. Woo! Let me tell you, it took a lot of energetic cleaning up for me to get in front of you right now, because I don't want my energy to be anything other than pristine when you see me. So if you don't see me as often and you wish that you could hear from me more, you do that by joining Patreon community. There are years and years and years and years worth of information and ceremonies that you can use every new moon, every full moon, whenever you want to, from many metaphysical aspects and background. I take everything that I learn and see, and I say, how can I use this to turn my pain into purpose? How can I use this to turn these shadow aspects that I'm noticing in myself into my superpower? How can I share this with others? So that's there. The course, I'm with you every day in the course. Get the inner child healing course so that I can be with you every single day. Beautiful, it's beautiful, it's beautiful. That's what we're doing over here. We're loving on each other in the new verse. Okay, so without further ado, I don't know if I'm gonna keep all of this, but I'm vibing with you right now. But if I do, make sure you hit that like, make sure that you share, and make sure that you comment, because it helps so much. I don't say it as much. I had an addiction to being small, not asking for what I want and what I need. We're not moving like that anymore, right? No, we're not moving like that anymore. We know that the laws of the universe are here to assist us and help us evolve and grow. And for those of us who are no longer resisting, we are ready to shed what no longer serves, step into the limelight, however that shows up for you. So I want to pull a card for the collective of anybody who comes across this video. If it resonates with you, make sure you let me know what's your biggest takeaway from this, all right? Here we go. Knock, 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 knock. All right. What is the most profound, helpful thing for us right now? So many of us are healing from many different levels of abuse and trauma. What can help us? Is it something we're not saying would be beneficial for us? Is it something that we're not paying attention to? Is there tools, there support that's around us that we have not considered? Any message that you have for the collective right now? Thank you. Yes, yes, yes. Oh, snap. Hold up. Hold up. Seeing the true you. That's so perfect. Look at that. Look at that. Seeing the true you. It's time, y'all. It's time. Look, let me tell you, One thing that I continue to learn day by day, the true version of who we are, it's being revealed to us. The universe is a mirror. Our relationships are mirrors. The true you is enough. The true you might be messy sometimes, but it's beautiful. The true you may be broken, but it is no less sacred. That's the true you. And it's time that we see the true us. That includes the things that could be considered negative and the things that are not. So let's get into this card. Sometimes we believe what others tell us we are, as though the self we see reflected back to us through their eyes is the truth. Yet, the accuracy of a reflection depends on the clarity of that which is doing the reflecting. If the receiver forms any opinion about what is perceived, then what is reflected back to us at best will be distorted. It is not necessarily through ill will. It is just the mechanics of the situation. Even the moon reflects the sun in varying degrees of fullness and clarity. We can learn something of the nature of the sun from the moon, but not as much through direct perception. This oracle has come to you because you have been putting rather too much faith in the reflections others have of you, to the point that you might not be honoring all that you are and all that you are becoming because you believe too little of yourself. There may be those around you that are able to reflect you more faithfully and even help you see more of your greatness and beauty. There are souls that have been blessed with inner stillness. In the clear waters of their ocean of consciousness, you can come to recognize yourself with clearer perception. However, there are those who have not tended to their own ocean and are unable to be still enough to genuinely receive and reflect your light back to you. There is no judgment here. Each takes the path of self-healing that is available and appropriate at any given time. However, to attempt to see the magnificence of the sun and a very partial moon doesn't make too much sense. If you are blessed with those in your life who can show you the beauty within you, wonderful. Even so, this oracle comes to you with a task you are now ready for. You are to begin to develop the art of direct perception. This is the ability to recognize yourself, not only in the eyes of others, but from how you feel about yourself, how you experience yourself, and how you observe yourself with compassion and kindness from within. This is a step towards a radical empowerment that does not require perfection in order for you to recognize you are lovable and have much to offer. It is empowerment based on the acceptance of all that you are, working with your strengths, tending to your weaknesses, and being loving, encouraging, and nurturing of all that you perceive. As you continue on this journey, you will not only see your human self, but the eternal within you. This is a breathtaking experience that opens you up to creative energy that flows abundantly through all of life. It is an experience that takes great preparations because we must be strong within our own self-love and acceptance to be able to hold acceptance for all of life. This oracle is nudging you in that preparation. For when you have the experience of truly beholding yourself, all judgment, fear, and doubt will fall away, and you will just know yourself to be sacred. Then you will be asked to embrace the deeper journey of sacred rebellion against judgment and fear, and into passionate creativity and unconditional trust in life. This oracle comes with a special message for you. If you are getting confused about who you are and your motives or actions based on what others are saying or how they are responding to you, take a step back. In your quest to be a responsible person, you may be unintentionally taking on the feelings of others, making their reflection of you more than they are in truth. More often than not, reflections are more about the state of the reflector than what is being reflected. Let those external perceptions go. Can you just acknowledge yourself? Do so and be free. Now, this is a healing process that goes with this card, okay? I'm going to read this to you. So beautiful. And this is exactly what I've been channeling as I've been connecting with the energy that is being offered to us right now. Say with feeling, I now break any contract I have ever made with another, consciously or unconsciously, that has given them power over me, power over my sense of self, the authority to approve or reject me, or anything about me, including my voice, body, creativity, spirituality, and way of living. Of my own free will, I now choose to directly perceive my own beauty and turn within with kindness and compassion to see myself through the eyes of unconditional love. So mote it be. Beautiful. Can we just receive that and breathe that in? No more trying to be enough. There's no need for people pleasing. This is a time where we're learning how to be everything that we have fallen into the trap of seeking externally. For me, my value has, for most of my life, been measured based upon others' perceptions of me. And as I began to do the work and really commit to this journey, and for those of you who have been with us for a while, you know how far I came. I've shared everything through my spiritual awakening. I studied so many mystical systems, so many ways of attaining self-mastery, you know, and I wanted the experience because words don't teach. And actions speak so much louder than words. And as I was going through these many levels of self-realization and self-actualization, I realized that most of what I created in life didn't even consider my own self, my feelings, which is why last year I burned out. I launched New You Mystery School, and I launched the Dark Goddess University Womb Mentorship Program all at once. It was all back to back. I launched the podcast. I had so many pots on the stove. I didn't even stop and ask my own self, what do you need? And I burned out. And so in that happening and me taking time out to rest, rejuvenate, and just be with my family, a lot of the things that are occurring now in my life is to help me keep things in a harmonious flux, because life is not going to ever ebb and flow exactly the way that you want it to, but you learn how to dance with life. And so for so many of us, I was just writing about this, our self-worth was established by how other people perceived us. And I think that's true for most people, especially people who realize now that you became, whatever you became as a result of trauma. So being able to see your true self requires you to release attachments to other people's perceptions. And so I look for, what is the thing that I'm afraid to do? What is that truth that I'm afraid to speak? What is that lifestyle change I am afraid to make? What boundary have I realized I require to be healthy? Like those things, especially being a Scorpio moon, like for me, shadow work is just a part of my existence. So it's like an everyday thing. It's not like, oh, I got to stop and do some shadow work. It's like every day. And so with that, it's painful to find out that the person that you are today isn't your true self. It's a false self that you needed to navigate whatever life experiences that you were offered. And so me detaching from other people's perceptions is what allowed me to create Remnants Gathering and a new verse in the first place. And I'm so incredibly proud and grateful of everything that we have built together. Because for those of you who have been around for a while, like everything that we created, we took it from what you said you needed. And we did this in many ways, and forms and polls and readings. And, I really wanted to offer those keys that I wish I had as I was awakening. So yes, know that the self-love journey and developing a stronger sense of self-worth, it's not gonna be something that everybody is gonna vibe with. Some people that were a part of the song you were singing not gonna be a part of this next verse coming up, right? So you might be into the end of the first verse, end of the first chapter. Maybe you're closing a chapter out to write a completely new chapter, and you're adding new verses to live by. Some of those people aren't going to go with you if their vibrational frequency is not choosing to operate in the capacity of where you're going. So this is the bifurcation that I talk about of the earth. Is happening, especially with this Gemini energy, extremes and polarity is happening. And so what happens is, as we begin to shift based on our authentic self, we notice relationships dissolve. And it's not always a big fight or anything like that. You just see them less, talk to them less. Y'all could live in the same house together, and it's just like you feel like you're on different planets. So, that's happening to help us figure out who we are. Because when we are especially codependent, and maybe like I was very insecurely attached. And this recent relationship with my partner, I was so insecurely attached that anytime he wasn't pleased with whatever was happening, I took that as a measure of me failing, me not doing something good enough. And so, that is very painful to know that a lot of the relationships that you created was on false premises, with your false self. That was the birth of the false self ritual, the false self funeral, where you give a ceremony to that version of you you're ready to release. Ceremony is so important. A lot of us connect with that deeper spiritual calling, but sometimes life just get busy, and for whatever reason you kind of get stuck, and you're not really practicing your spirituality. You're not figuring out what that is for you and creating those routines. So ceremonies are so important. Self-mastery, personal development is great, but if you're just reading books and listening to lectures, like, you're not really getting the full impact from the work and the things that you are learning. So I went back to the false self funeral and did that for myself, and it still blows my mind that I even wrote that, because it feels like something that was birthed from me, and it wasn't from my conscious mind. It was from a much deeper place. And so I know the pain of being anxious, fearful, desiring to be fearless in love, desiring to be close and bonded, but afraid of being rejected and abandoned at the same time. It's like we're in a place now where you can't exist in the gray area. And this is why a lot of relationships that were very Neptunian, which is like illusion and not really founded on a solid foundation of what is actually real, what is truth. Because if you brought the best version of yourself, which was your best mask that you could find, that you created to navigate the 3D matrix to the relationship in the beginning, then that foundation is not going to withstand the energy that is being emitted to the planet right now to help us evolve. So a lot of men are finding that their true self was simply somebody who their true self was, for a lot of men, this is what I'm noticing, there is a lack of emotional connection. There is a lack of emotional intelligence. And I think a lot of men, what they used to use to connect with their partner or whoever they was dating, like, it's not working for them now. And I'm not saying that women don't ever have these areas where we're not as emotionally privy to developing true connection in our authentic selves. But because we create and whole life within our bodies, and our body is metaphysically, spiritually wired for that, it is different. And we live in a man's world, so we had to learn how to use masculine energy to survive and to provide. And there's so many women that were single mothers. So like, I was a great father to my children, trying to be a great mother, but there was that missing element. So I had to be both. But for a lot of men, they weren't even thinking about feminine energy and integrating that, and it wasn't necessary for them to navigate the 3D world. Well, we're not in a 3D world anymore. Some of us are still trying to live in a 3D world, but it's not working for us. And for those of us who are meant to evolve from that, it's nothing is gonna come, nothing that you truly desire is going to be attracted to you, because you're trying to attract it from a place of falseness, illusions. Some of us are so afraid to be seen as unworthy, to be seen as invaluable. We really aren't allowing our true selves to be experienced, and that space is not going to be a peaceful space to be in anymore. From this point forward, that space is going to be a space of density, perpetual pain that you're really not finding a purpose in, right? Just constantly experiencing darkness, conflict, trauma. And that space, you can step out of that space at any point in time if you want to. You don't have to change your life. You just take a step back and you learn how to listen to spirit. You learn about these different principles and you begin applying them, and your life will become a vibrational match to the work that you're doing inside. So, with this energy now that we are getting ready to enter into the Mars energy of action, taking action. Leo energy is like what we put out there for the world to see, So it's just like, okay, what you gonna do? You gonna take your makeup off or not? You gonna, right? What are you gonna do? Are you gonna show up as your authentic self or not? So if you are, more concerned with other people's perception of you, you're actually forfeiting the future that you deserve to try to keep people happy who just aren't going to be happy anyway, because they're existing within that space. And that space is hell on earth, you know. So it don't mean that you should not take the time to experience the deeper, what seems to be negative emotion, but approaching them with compassion over criticism, choosing to embrace everything that you are feeling and validate your own feelings, right? Your self-worth, especially for us mothers and wives, like our self-worth is based on how pleased everybody in the house is, you know. And we, for so long, we thought that putting others before ourselves was a form of love, and this was glorified so much. Now women, the statistics of autoimmune disease, fibromyalgia, MS, arthritis, migraines, cancer, cervical cancer, breast cancer. Like, a lot of this is happening because transgenerationally we've been living this way. We don't have anything else to give other than what we are nurturing within ourselves. And whenever you attempt to pour something out of your glass when it's not enough in there for you, of course you're going to attract more of that. You're going to attract more situations, people, places, and things that deplete you. And there will not be fulfillment happening in your life. And so the first thing that we have to do is pull back from that. And yes, people may say that you are becoming selfish. People may feel like you aren't the person you used to be. People may be, be so used to you being a doormat and a people pleaser that when you start to change and you're no longer being a narcissistic supply, you're no longer being the one who's going to keep up with facades and charades, and you're choosing to live in your truth. Like, when you make those decisions, self-love can be very triggering to other people who benefited from us existing in our false self. So, just expect it. It's okay. Expect it, but have your tools lined up. Know how you're going to respond when you're triggered. A lot of the strategies I teach here, like the PRP, right? The positive reframe pivots. Doing that in real time, the more you practice it, the better you get at it. The hot potato, when you have them thoughts and it's just burning you and it's just too hot to think, like, drop it like it's hot. Like, don't hold on to it. Release it, release it, release it. And the more you do it, the better you get at it. Because negative energy and negative thoughts and the thoughts of smallness and thoughts and emotions where we diminish ourselves and make ourselves small so that we're not upsetting people and frustrating people and all of that. Like, all of that is a trauma response, right? It's a coping mechanism to be safe, to create safety, but we don't need that anymore to be safe, right? We don't need that anymore. And if you're still trying to use it beyond its expiration date, you're going to attract more of what you are choosing to hold on to. And so I created a new exercise I'm going to share now. Okay. I can't hold it in. It's so good. I was going to put it together and do something special, but we're going to do it right here. Okay. So the new exercise that I created in this energy, working through some really, really deep, wounds that I have been sitting with for a few days. You discover parts of your heart, that did not receive the love it desired to receive or really needed. And when you discover those parts of you, you can do one or two things. You can judge that part of you as being something that lessens your value. Become critical, beat yourself up, become self-loathing. It's addictive. Self-loathing is addictive. Narcissism goes in reverse. Inferiority complex, diminishing your light, being small to stay safe. It's addictive. Anything that created some type of safety for you, of course, the ego is programmed to use that particular strategy anytime you feel unsafe. So sometimes we're comforted by those negative thoughts and emotions. Sometimes we're comforted by suspicions of other people because it's like, that's familiar. I know that. I can navigate that. I've been there. I know this territory. But releasing that is not going to be comfortable at first. And you're uncertain. You don't know. If you spend most of your life avoiding conflicts that needed to be resolved to keep peace and it's not working anymore, well, bringing up things that need to be worked out that could maybe conflictual with other people is going to be nerve-wracking for you, and it's not going to be comfortable, right? And so as we are being triggered to grow with this Jupiter energy, I mean Taurus as well, that's all about the sense of self, how we ground ourselves, right? Safety, stability in the world. As we're learning how to expand and not shrink, right? It's uncomfortable, it's uncertain, and it's new, right? And anytime you do something new, it's going to be a little fear around that, but fear can also be excitement, right? So it's all in how you pivot it and look at it and what perception you use to look at it. So when these things come up, you just step back and observe what's coming up. This is something that I call OBB. And this strategy helps you to step outside of the experience you are having so that you're not judging yourself in a way where you may miss the lesson in that experience. So the first step in OBB, when something comes up, whether it's a thought, trigger, or emotion, observe. You're not observing it to try to fix it. You're not observing it to make it go away. You're not observing to figure it out. You're just being present with it. And you're just observing. You're observing your sadness. You're observing your anger. You're observing how afraid you are at communicating a certain truth or having a certain conversation or making a decision that's required of you, switching careers, so many things that we are starting to feel we want to do as we are being compelled to transform. So you just observe. And as you are observing, which is the first part of OBB, observe, right? The second part of the word observe is serve. So it serves you to observe. Judging yourself does a disservice, right? And so as we pull away from judging ourselves in that moment, your inner child feels safe, because it's like, wait a minute, I'm having a tantrum, I'm not being judged. And the inner child been probably just really craving to just feel the feelings and not be judged, not get in trouble, not be berated, not be punished for it. Like, you can do that. We are learning to reparent ourselves, right? That's our responsibility, to reparent the wounded inner child. It doesn't go away just because you get older chronologically. The wounded inner child is always there. It's a part of you, right? So the observation is observing emotions in a detached state, right? And this ensures non-judgment of whatever uncomfortable emotions you may be feeling. This allows the body to be more at ease with whatever triggers are coming to the surface, to simply be seen, felt, and heard. A stillness flows into the spirit as you are doing this, which was mentioned in the card. There are other words for this, such as wusa or zen. These words denote a sense of peace despite the feelings and triggers that may be coming up in the present moment. Some emotions we repress flow to the surface, helping us to release the repressed feelings that may or may not be understood in the present moment. Again, you don't have to understand it. Just observe it and be with it. Sometimes they feel out of place, such as moments when we wake up feeling anxious, though nothing is happening to make this feeling make sense. Just observe how you feel instead of searching for the reason that you feel that way. Use this moment to validate your feelings instead of trying to ignore them and push them down. Tell yourself you have a right to feel whatever you are feeling. You can lay your hand on your heart, take a deep breath, and as you inhale, breathe in love into your stomach so that you begin to slow down the fight or flight that you may be feeling from the trigger. The nervous system can begin to be regulated. You can use a calming color to visualize during this process to help you self-soothe. thoughts may come up with this emotion as well. No matter how critical they are, simply observe them. Just listen. You don't have to analyze the thoughts. Label them as good or bad. Let them come up without attaching a meaning to them. Our mind is a quantum computer programmed by experiences. You are not your thoughts because you are becoming the detached observer each time this practice is used. Once you have watched the thoughts that flow in with the emotions, you can decide what to do from there. This can be a great time to add affirmations that are soothing to think or even speak them out loud. I like to tell myself, we're okay. We're safe. Everything is working out for our benefit. If I can't think of any reason to prove that's not true, that affirmation sticks. So in this moment, you could think about some tough things that you went through and you survived. And that's your proof that that affirmation is true, right? So now you're using your quantum computer. You're using your mind to be in service to serve you instead of doing a disservice to you. You're like, wait a minute, I've survived a divorce. I've survived health issues. I learned how to be out on my own as a teenager. I learned how to take care of myself. Whatever it is that you've been through and overcame, that's when you use your past trauma as leverage. This is what I teach, to turn the shadows into superpowers. You use these things as leverage to serve you where you are. As you are using your affirmations to serve you, you can begin speaking to your inner child. In that moment, your I divine self, shadow self, child self is all present, and you are able to integrate these inner parts of you. All right, so this is an integration as well. This is how you create wholeness. Uncomfortable emotions are simply invitations to learn to be still, serving a dose of self-love via emotional regulation. And the name of this is OBB, and it helps to make it easier to remember. So you observe. You're learning how to observe so that it does a service for you. It serves you. The emotions, you're learning how to witness the energy in motion without needing to judge it. And the B in OBB is to be still. When you still the motions, it serves you. So that's OBB. The word OBB, I practiced this. I had some really extreme stuff happen. I've been definitely tested the last couple days. And just OBB, 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 OBB. I would just say it over and over again in many different ways. OBB, OBB. And it was like soothing. I was like, oh my goodness, this feels so good to me. And the power of creating strategies with words and sounds this way, the reason it's so powerful is because the English language, of course, is a spell. You know, we wake up like going to a wake when people die in the morning, right? We're mourning. We work all through the work week only to get a paycheck, and only are able to be off on the weekend to get in the weekend of the deal. We learn spelling in school to write in cursive, so the English language spells are curses, right? And so the more you study etymology and words and learn how to use your words as your wand to recreate your reality one new verse at a time to live by, what happens is your mind begins to reprogram the way your emotions respond to the thoughts. And so when you use words or mantras or bija sounds such as Om, you're tapping into a vibrational field that isn't dense and heavy loaded with previous thought forms and energy created by whatever that word is. I can say one word right now and it could switch up the whole mood in this reading, right? I could say witch. And it's a trigger with just that word, because so many people have been murdered using that word who were just herbalists and healers and empaths and intuitives, right? So that word is loaded. Religion used it. That word is loaded, right? And so when we step away from that, you're no longer using the English language in a way that keeps you stuck in the 3D matrix. Words are codes. Sounds create vibrations. In the beginning, God spoke. So it's so powerful working with the energy of OBB. I'll be talking more about it soon. Like I said, I've been working with this for a couple of days now, and it's been effective every single time I have used this strategy. So I will definitely be talking more about this. I'm putting together a guidebook for navigating trauma and love after trauma to turn your pain into purpose. And so these strategies and techniques will be included in there with visualizations and just ways that you can begin to isolate what's healthy for you and what isn't, and what you want to keep in your life and what you don't. Without clarity, it's difficult to know, right? Yes, so I want to thank y'all for taking the time to watch this full video if you did, because I think it's just not enough of us being in the energy of thankfulness, gratefulness, and fear is constantly being used as a tool of programming to keep us from migrating from the old earth, right? No matter where you are, no matter what's occurring in your life right now, this multi-dimensional energy that's opening up, all of these 0 degrees, these resets, these new opportunities for you to step out into the world as more of your true self. Everything that's happening in your life, it may be challenging, but it's revealing your resilience, your tenacity, your courage, your ability to show up for yourself, not trying to be perfect. If you don't know your wounded child inner type, this is a great time to learn that and work with that, because that's the part of us ultimately that attracts our partners. Ain't that interesting? And we are often unaware that we are trying to heal things from our childhood that was unfinished business. So when you bring your inner child into awareness, when you learn the wounds and whatever archetypal wounds you experience, betrayal, trauma, whatever it may be, you have the power to wield the sword in a way that is going to protect you, maybe even feed you, right? So many things you can do with a sword. A sword can also allow you to see yourself. And the sword is your word, internal dialogue, external dialogue, the way that you use your words, the way that you react to other people's words. So if you don't like what you see reflected outside of you, I want to remind you that you can change it by healing and going within. Don't worry about the veneer, okay? This is your movie. This is the song your soul came to sing in the cipher of life. And what you connect your attention to ultimately will create what is brought to you. And that's a great thing, because that means everything that's in our life, if we can be accountable and accept, whether we know how or not, that it's in our life because we somehow created it, that gives us the power to tear it down and recreate it when it needs to. Just like playing with Play-Doh. And once you're done, you're like, nope, let me start over. Now you work it and you're making something different, right? So yeah, play a little. And just remember that nobody is perfect. And I know social media sometimes can paint a picture, but nobody is perfect. Talk to people long enough and you'll know. And if you feel alone, it's okay. You're not the only one. Oftentimes, people who are here to end generational curses are not the popular ones in the family. They might not be the most likable ones in the family. They might be the strange ones in the family. You might be the one in the family that nobody really gets and understands. Like, that's okay, right? Again, we don't have to be understood by other people. Just have clarity on who you are. And if you don't, hire coaches, study and practice, create routines, create your spiritual routines and practices, and do the best you can to stick to them. And I'm telling you, if I have been able to go from being homeless and in the hospital every month of my life for 20 years, and I haven't been in the hospital since 2016, and that's just one thing. You know, I don't make a lot of deals. Oh, I manifested $100,000. I manifested a new car. Because material things is kind of just like, it comes, it comes. It don't carry as much value to me as the unseen, the potential, and helping people to unlock that. That right there, like, yeah, I love that. I love to watch people glow up, right? So invest in yourself. You're worth it. And the more that you do this, the more you value yourself, you will attract people who value you as well. Man, your third eye has just been kissed. Y'all already know what it is. I got to get out of here. Namaste, namaste. Peace. One love. Ashe.